Let's continue and finish Hilchos Bורer. And Mr. Shem, upcoming Shiur Mazan, will go to Schita next to Simon. We mentioned in the previous Shiur that basically there is three tenoim in order to constantly have to remember these things. There's three tenoim which in order that you should be able to make boirer, that you have to come to this three tenoim. One nice has to be always oichel mitach psoiles, nash psoiles mitach oichel. The second nai has to be la'alter. You have to do it right away. That means before you're eating it. And third, which we're going to focus basically, today's shiur is going to be a third tenai, is it cannot be bekaila hamayichid lebreire. Cannot be even whatever even if you take it, oichem matach psoiles. And even if you do le'alter, that you have two tenoim, it's still not okay, and you cannot be bekaila hamayichid lebreire. Kaila hamayichid lebreire means the way how you do breire, the way how you do boirer, that is a problem. What is not considered kaila hamayichid lebreire is nicht kein problem, although it's a keli, but since it's not a kaila with a meichid for a breire, that's not a problem. That's one of the reasons why we mentioned that basically it's not a problem, even though there are poiskim akapunim in some fruit and vegetables. It's a problem to use a peeler, but it's not a problem to use a knife, because a peeler is a kaila, which is basically meichid lebreire, to take off the shells. Masha einkein, a messer, a knife is not meichid lebreire. You could use it for take off klipa. You could use it for cut meat, bread. So therefore, it's not called a kaila meichid lebreire, and that's not an issue. So now let's go. A couple of halachas was in the Gaya, about this halacha. The first thing is like this: a ladle which has holes, which the what?
Slotted spoon.
Okay, slotted spoon. That's called a kaila hamichid lebreire. Therefore, you cannot take out with such a spoon things from a pot when you want to have the solid, you don't want the liquid. For instance, if you have a cholent, and the cholent has a lot of liquid. So then you want to take with such a spoon, you want to take it out, that basically the liquid should go back into the pot, and the potatoes and the beans, whatever it should be, the meat should come out. That is a problem, because such a thing is a thing which is made basically l'michid lebreire, and that's called kaila michid lebreire. Although you're taking out basically the oich matach psoiles and you're putting it right into the plate to eat, but sof you use it a kaila hamichid lebreire, and therefore it is a problem, because again, when it's been mentioned, if it has a kaila michid lebreire, even if it has other it's not good enough. Now, if it is a cholent which has a little bit of depends what cholent you make. You know, there are the Hungarians which like it has to be a soup because they dip challah inside, whatever. Then this is a problem. But if you have a soup which is basically a cholent which not necessarily has a lot of liquid, and you want to take out kemivn, as if there's a little bit of drop of liquid, a little bit, it will drip off. That's not a problem. Well, ein kemenus bechallah for a breire. My kavod is roasting I want to take it out. Happens to me, I have such a ladle and such a spoon, and I want to take it out. But ein kemenus lebreire because it doesn't have a lot of liquid. But usually, a thing which has a lot of liquid, you use special such a spoon in order to take it out. And that's the whole kavana, to use this thing in order the liquid should go out. And therefore, it will be awesome to do. Now, even in a cholent, which you have a lot of liquid, which we just said that you cannot take out, which has a spoon which has holes, you can take out with a fork. Although you're taking out with a fork, also kavanose, your whole mind is because that basically that the liquid should drop off. You don't want the liquid. You want to take out only the beans or the meat. And that's why you use a fork, not a spoon. But this is not a problem. Why? It's not meichid lebreire. A fork is not meichid lebreire. A fork is meichid to eat. So therefore, in such a case, even if kavanoschu is to drip off the water, and even if kavanoschu taka, and you do it mamash kavana, it's not a problem. Because it's not meichid lebreire.
If you have a big fork, like a serving fork.
Yeah, but that's also not. It's also like that because of course it's not. That's not made for bread. Such a spoon which has holes. That's the whole concept of it. That basically the liquid should go out and the salad should stay. A big fork is made to make a big piece of meat should come out. So therefore, it's not a michle bread, and therefore it is not a problem. Another halacha is, one of the problems which we have is, which we said is, and we mentioned it a little bit, but I just want to go it over because it comes over here in, and I was going to put in the kiddush. Breider is only when you have a beirer, oichem matach psoilis, or the psoilis matach oichem. If you have a pot of soup, yeah, it's end of the Su'udah, and you don't want basically to, you don't want to keep it. So what do you want to do? You want to take basically the soup, spill it in the sink, and then you want to take all the rest which stayed inside, all the bones and all the vegetables you're not going to use, throw it in the garbage. So basically you are dividing it in order that this should go into the sink, and this should go into the grinder or whatever you have. You can't use Shabbos a grinder, you're going into the garbage. So that's boyer psoilis, it's not a problem. There's no iser boyer psoilis. So therefore, when you have a pot or the leftover of a soup, which goes into the garbage, and you pour it in the sink, and you take even the strainer from the sink, which is not in the place, happens to be not in the place, and you don't want the noodle should go inside into the strainer because it's going to clog up your sewer. So you're taking the strainer and you're putting it in mamash in order it should be a mamash abnechs bread. Because you want to divide that the noodles should stay and you throw it in the garbage and the soup should go down. It's not a problem. Because it's bechanish kan breire. Breire is not oich metach psoilis or the psoilis metach oichel or zwei oichelem which I want one and I want the other one, which then the one which I don't want becomes a shem psoilis. But two things which is basically psoilis mamash, because I won't throw it away, it's not a problem. So therefore, whenever you take off, you have after the Shabbos Suda, yeah, you take over the plastic, and you see over there bottles, a wine bottle, and you have a plastic bottle, and then you start dividing it because you want this should go in the recycle, this should go in the glass, this should go into the garbage. You can do it because that's psoilis psoilis. It's a problem.
What if you want the soup?
What is if you wanted the soup? That's a problem. And that's a big problem. Because then, again, what are you going to do? We're going to get how to do it. But it's interesting, you ask... Ma? Val boirer de pshat, I want to divide one from the other, one ein is oichel, ein is psoilis. Two garbages is just lafridet ze lo baya. Es darf sein, shem boirer psoilis mit oichel oder mit psoilis. Psoilis mit psoilis, nicht kein problem. No, there's no difference because it's shampoo breire. Stop calling the klal from breire. If such a problem, klal from breire, has no problem. That's why I said you're taking the strainer. Einach gudel mizeh. That's a kaila miiched mamash le miiched breire. Mine for garbage. What? Why should it be mixed? It's a kaila. Why should it be strange? What? Aber es ist schon noch so. Ich kann das machen für in der Sache noch. So this is a problem. What? לא הבנתי, תרים. נכון, כן. דיברנו על זה ונגיע עוד פעם בזה, בסיכום. אבל פשוט מזל gedenken, this is not a problem. And this is the shallow which I have. But here he brought up a good question. What is if I want the soup? Once you want the soup, and that's a big problem, because whatever way you're going to do, you can have an issue. You're going to take out the psoilis, is psoilis with the oichel. But you're going to take out the oichel, is auch the problem, because it's not, you don't want to eat it now, it's not la'alter. It's not la'alter. Why am I laughing? Because I had, yesterday, somebody calls me from Monsey, and he tells me like this. I have a lady which comes to my house every day. He has a daughter which is sick, so he has always, the government sends somebody. So he wanted to know, I finished the seed on Shavuos, and there's a big pot of soup, And a big part of the soup, there's all kinds of vegetables which I don't eat, bones I don't eat, the soup I would eat. But it doesn't fit in, putting the pot into Yontov, Yontov Baruch Hashem is the refrigerator all full. So putting away such a big pot is not impossible. So I told for the goiter that she should, she asked me, do you want to throw it away or what do you want to do? I said, the soup I would like to have. So she divided it. If he did correct, if it was okay. Was it mitra or not? What was the answer? What? Why? So he brings, Rabbi Pressman brings it like this. There's a halacha, and we mentioned it already. Bowrer, Yontov in Nishukam Bowrer. What does it mean Bowrer? That's the Nishukam problem of Bowrer, because you can do it with Tzorch Nefesh. So therefore, what is the halacha Yontov? Whatever is easier. That means if you have a bunch of garbage and you have a little bit of food, then you take out the food. If you have a bunch of food and a little bit of garbage, you have, let's say, a plate full of pistachio nuts, and there's 2 shells inside. So then you have a right, no problem, to take out the shells because that's whatever is easier. I don't want to give this marshal because we don't eat this because other problem of mixer. But again, so it's a lucha. But that's so nicht the pshat as there's no boirer at all. Says boirer is do Yontov ochet. No vibal says boirer ochet nefesh. Ham chazal gesucht. You can do it psach mit the chazorchel. But if you do it lezoirech la'acher zman, is it the reis afila? Same is it. If he wanted that this soup I should put away because he can use it. He didn't want it for now. He wanted it, let's say, for next day or for 2. Whatever it should be. Is the pshat, he makes a braire of lacher zman. A braire lacher zman is a problem. So if you cannot do it, you cannot tell the goy to do it. That's the klal. We have to remember. People do not know it. When you have a goy in your house, whatever you can do, she can do. Whatever you cannot do, she cannot do. What? I can't hear you. Amir la'akim is a iser was zavdir. Telling for a... So I told him, it's a problem. So he asked me another question, which we mentioned, but I'm going to bring it in. So now, since she made a boiler, if I'm going to eat it, so then, have ich geraten with the problem? So ich call, no, first of all, it's lachas man now. But even if you would have ate it right away, then, afterwards, and then you ate it, we mentioned already this Nikida. Whenever a person is boiler lachas man, he made a braire, euch mit ach pseules, lachers man. Also ich euch isse der Reise. Then ich hab sich euch isse der Reise, I'm going to eat it now. Hast du nicht besatten gewesen? You don't need to do it, Bechal. The isser, you're over the isser. Das gemacht a braire of lachers man. If you're going to eat it now, nothing is going to help. Es ist gut schon getan. Der braire, ich bin a braire of lachers. So bei mir, das ist gut schon getan. Aber Rakepuram, es ist a scheine Chab, as es ist lacher. Ich hab die erste Sekunde habe ich gehabt, ein gewisser Zeit, es ist runges Käsen, wird gemerkt, aber nur habe ich gesehen, das ist auch nicht richtig. So answering your question, that if you want to make a brayer in order to put it away, so lachas man, is that you can have a fill of a yontif. What?
What's the have in mind that it's for now and not lachas man? The guy can be it, or good?
Anybody.
Also, if he has the intention for lachas man, he tells her, I want to eat some soup now. She divides it with the intention that he's going to eat the soup now.
Okay.
But in his mind,
ja, so Lama hat sie gemacht, der Brei lachs man, and you told her. But Paul hat sie gemacht, der Brei lachs man, die hat sich gehalten am Essen. Die erste gesucht, sie machen der Brei lachs man, and she did it. Ihr Kavuna, wo sie getracht auf jetzt, weil sie, das gibt nicht dran. Bechala, Goy hat kein Kavuna, du. Sie nicht, du, kippen, ist er so, du, ist er zweite Schale. Lachs man nicht kann aufgewinnen. In any case, is a problem. Lachers man is Isra Boyer. Now, if I want to use it now, we have a pot of chicken soup and has vegetables, and I want to serve for the oilam, and I have all the schmitz in the. Then over here we are getting into the shala which we elaborated a langarich last week, as according to the 20th the Terezuv the Alter Rebbe Shitta. According to the Terezuv, if I take the pot and spill it. Yeah, what is the boirer? What is the braire? Is the soup, it says, that's fine. Because what do I take? The nisbarer is the soup, and therefore, so I can take the pot, pour it into the other plates, and it's fine. According to the Alter Rebbe, it's pink verkehrt. Alter Rebbe holds, whatever you hold in the hand, that is the nisbarer. So therefore, when you pour it out, what did you do? You took out the pesoilis with the choichel. So therefore you have a problem. And since zwei große bombas, so it's a problem both. It's a problem, this issue. Huh? Okay, so now let's go another thing. What? Yeah?
When you're holding it,
You can't do it.
There's machlokes zwischen the Terezuv in the Alter Rebbe. According to the Terezuv, if I have this and I pour out, what is the oichel? What is the psoilis? The psoilis is what I pour out because this is what I want to eat, and whatever left over, that's the psoilis. So if I pour out, I made oichel b'tach psoilis. That's fine. According to the Alter Rebbe, whatever you hold in the hand, that is what you take. So that means if I pour out the good thing and I keep the schmitz, so I begin immer psoilis b'tach oichel. Big verkehr with the Terezuv. So B'mayla.
Better to take out the psoilis or pour out?
No, take it up psoilis chaz v'shulam. How could you take it do?
But to pour out the psoilis somehow?
Yeah, according to the Alter Rebbe, in such a case, according to the Alter Rebbe, if you want, depends on what you want. If you want, when you have a fly, when you have, for instance, a fly in a cup, and you want to pour out the fly and take the tea, the drink, so according to the Alter Rebbe, yes, turn it over, take the fly, it's good. Well, this is oichem b'tach psoilis. According to the Rezuv, it's the organized reise. Because when you spilled out the fly, that's the psoilis. You made psoilis b'tach oichem. According to the Alter Rebbe, it's fine. But in this case, when we have a bowl of soup and we want to pour out the soup, that's what we want to eat. So that geit is verkehrt. According to the Alter Rebbe, whatever you keep in the pot, that's all the junk. Hast du gemacht psoilis b'tach oichem. It's a problem. According to the Rezuv, it's fine. Gab es the kidder?
So again, for example, if they take the soup and they pour out the good stuff, it's a problem.
It's a problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's the same thing with a ladle.
A ladle is that's the best thing. Take a ladle, take out the soup. That's oichem b'tach psoilis. That is what you should do, but not la'achar zman. That's only l'alter.
What about my soup that I want to eat all week? You didn't give me my teretz.
The what? You put it away the same as it is. Put it in the refrigerator. With all of them, Matzah Shabbos, yeah, and you make the b'rayre. Then you take a real b'rayre, a sifter, and you sift it through. But till then, no, you cannot do that. So now let's get another step.
What if you leave some soup in the bottom of the pot with the psoilis?
Oh, now you're going to get a thing which we're going to address a little bit later, but then we're going to address it now. Bורer has to be Sachen, wir sind gemischt, sind araf. Das heißt, Yisod Gudel. Things has to be mixed together. Whatever is not mixed together, you can breire. Yeah? So therefore, whenever something is separate, so you can breire for Zazach. Now, when you have a pot, which over here till here is psoilis, and all of this is liquid. Such a case, l'chol hadayis, you have no issue b'chlal to take this soup, pour it out, as long as, let's say, for instance, you have 5 inches of schmitz and another 10 inches of soup. When the 10 inches you can take out, I would say 9 inches, because nothing from the soup which is between the thing could go out. So therefore, the first 5 inches is nis'araf, then you cannot take out. The thing which is on top is nish nis'araf, you have no issue to take it out. It's a b'chalnish b'ara gewon. So therefore, you open up a can of tuna. You open up a sardines, yeah, which on top there's oil. The top oil you could pour out. The choladais, it's a problem. The problem is you cannot do it because it's so by pot you could do, but tuna, it is so complicated that once you start turning it over, also oil which is buying a b'sara dugim, and those is brayer, was is nesaraf. But by soup, for instance, if you know, let's say, I still hear this 5 plates of soup, and you take out ba'oimer dadas 4 plates, and you make sure nothing, then has a problem the choladais. So yes, you brought up a very good thing. It says the guy's about. That's why anything which is on top and the bottom, how many is problem? Weil aber no mit ein Nei, as nothing comes down from the bottom. Because as long as not in the top is nicht arf geworden, that's the klal in breire. That goes even, that has to be nisarf. Has to be nisarf. By the way, since we say this nekida, I'll say another nekida, which I had this yontav. I had this yontav that last week Shabbos happens to be that a fork fell into the garbage on top of the garbage. On top of the garbage. Can you take out the spoon or not? Now it fell in the garbage. No, you can't. You could take it out. It's oich metach psoilis. The spoon is oich metach psoilis. But you have to use it now. You have to use it. This is b'chol klal. People should remember that if you take it out, you have to use it. If not, it's gemacht a breire of lacheres man. But now it fell on top of the garbage. Can you take it out or not? And the answer is se nicht arf. I think two things, which one is on top of the other. This is a bisschen dark, aber ich will es machen klar. One thing on top of the other. It's nicht nidbek geworden, is nicht heißt ich kann tarifes. So therefore, if you have, I don't know, today's day they do it still, but it used to be that used to give all the chasans, whatever, used to give gefilte fish. He had a piece of carrot on it. I didn't see it lately. Things changed. When I grew up, what was the entree by chasana? A cantaloupe and a small umbrella. You still remember? Or with cherry. Okay, hand. So once upon a time, the what did I want to say? Oh, so it used to have a carrot. Is it do a bride if I take out the carrot or nicht? Sucht a forkash? Nein. Beferish nicht. When it's medibek, when you have a cream on a cake, or you have a cookie and has something you're taking it over, yeah, das ist schön, ich will nicht das, ist es euch mit euch. But if you have a carrot, was ist zwei andere Sachen, was eine ist on top of the zweiten, ist nicht das Arv geworden, ist nicht kein Breire. So therefore, if, what? It will be same as a carrot. Same as a carrot. It's liegt on top. It's nicht stable geworden. So therefore, you can take it off. But again, man darf halt im Kopf, also Takizan, nicht das Tabak, aber so if the spoon is on top of the garbage, it's nicht going to be enough. Would it fall in a little bit inwendig? What?
There's liquid garbage in the garbage can.
Yeah.
The spoon is inside the garbage.
No. No, dem ist es echt breire. Breire, ich kann sagen, ist es reise. Because we said, there's breire by kailam, there's breire by clothing, there's breire by toys, there's breire by svorim, all those things, breire is everything. If it fell in, yeah, but over here was the story, it was right on top. It fell on top. Even if you're not going to use it right away, no problem. But if it fell in, just like Maruch Lamasa, if it did fell inside and you want to take it out, you should take it out and make sure to use it. Then this is a breire of the altar, and it's not an issue.
Why is svarm? I mean, svarm, you said before, is breire. Why is it breire?
No, it's only, if I mentioned when we spoke then, svarim will be breire only when svarim are mixed. That means if you have a pile of svarim and you take out all the chamoshim, that's a breire. It's this araf. It's aber der chemisch is between Sachen and nicht on top. It is between. The minute was it is between is this araf geworden. So therefore I said the way how to pack svarim Shabbos is to take off the first one, put it away. The second one, put it away. That's not a problem. But other than that, is this a problem with svarim? No, if you talk about svarim, let me just go another thing. What is if you have a svarim shafa with a lot of svarim, and there's not a seder? Let's say if you have a seder as Isaac, there's no seder. Yeah? Can I take out, let's say I have a set of kitte sichas, and between Chaylik Chof and Chaylik Chof Aleph, there's a kitte teure, whatever. Yeah? Can I take it out just to be mesader it or not? Heißt es breiter oder nicht?
Depends if your wife is finished.
Nein. Is Lamaser, B'Shemzalma, mit der Raforkash, mit Imistaber ist also auch, heißt ich kann breire. Weil Lamaser, das heißt ich kann breire. Man hat once a taber, das heißt Mins Araf, das ist nicht das Araf. Jede Sache liegt sich auf seinem Mekoyme. Jeder ein liegt auf seinem Mekoyme. So it's not a problem, Shabbos, that you see that somebody put back the art scroll, Gemara, the article Soita, he put between the brochas and Shabbos, and it makes you nervous because you want it to be on Seider, because you want to, next year we're going to, after Pesach, you're going to learn 6. So it should be still be there. Yeah? I'm not getting much of ksibas because everybody learns ksibas. It's not going to be in the shafa. But akaponim, I'm talking. This is a problem because since it is this way. But when the children start taking chamoshim or sidurim, that's a problem. Now a big siddur and a small siddur, which is the same nisach, is not a problem. That's min eichet. Going back, macht chazura min eichet. Haben wir gelernt. Gdoli mektanim is nicht shnayminim. So therefore, even if you have a siddur which has bigger letters, smaller letters, it's alles min eichet. But if you have a Ashkenaz siddur and a Svard or a Tilas Hashem siddur mixed together, and you take one, this has shnayminim. Or you have two other kind of svurim, that's shnayminim. So is do a problem from Bורer. But again, once you take the top, you put it away, hast du
If
kein
you take out the sefer that you want and you want to use it right now.
That's fine, not a problem. That's exactly Oichem B'tach B'Soiles. You want to, whatever you want is Oichem. You do it to it's fine. So now let's go tea bags and using today's day. How do you do it? You have it over here too. You put some coffee in a what is it called? In a whatever, in a kaili, filter, and you put in hot water inside, and comes coffee. Can you do it on Shabbos or cannot do it on Shabbos? Now the halacha is, first of all, I'm not talking about bishul. Let's make it clear. If you're talking about bishul, no problem. But then, if it's kaili shlishi, whatever, with the Allah Ta'ala, there's no bishul. But whatever it should be. I'm not going in now to bishul. We'll get to bishul mitzvah one day. But I'm talking about bורר. Could you do it or cannot you do it? Now the halacha is, steht na halacha, that a person has shmorim. Shmorim is the leftovers of yayin. It is in a sifter. He goes Shabbos, he takes water, he pours it in the shmorim, in order it should go through the shmorim. What happens? It gets a taste of wine. Since the shmorim is wine, and you put in water, and so it gets a taste, and it goes through. It has, and now you have like the new seltzers, which has once upon a time you had seltzer which had a taste of soap. Now we have it as a pot which was a wash with cherry soap. So you have some kind of taste. Could you do it on Shabbos? You could do it. What is the reason why you could do it? Because when I do the Maaseh Bורer, that means what do I have? I have water which is clean. I don't need any bread. There's no mix together, any problem. Once I pour it in, habe ich gemacht kein Breire. Jetzt mischt sich es aus. Und sie wird für sich allein a Breire. Ich habe es nicht getan, kein Peille. Ich habe nicht getan, kein Maße Peille. Mein Peille, when I have water which has schmitz inside, when I have a liquid which has worms, and I want to put it in, that machst the Maße Breire. But if you don't have, you have a clean cup of water, and you pour it into the shmorim, although now it's mixed together in the shmorim, and now it comes out with a taste, it's okay. Now, the Avraham has an issue with it. The Avraham says, Sofkel Sov, ich verstehe nicht. You're right, you didn't make the water, but you made a breire that between the shmorim, why does it come out with a taste? Because between the shmorim there is a little bit of wine. The water takes out that piece of wine. So why isn't the problem? And he has a blabba zurechin, and he says, but what can I do? The shechnuch says, it's mitter. Ich kann nicht anfangen mit der shechnuch. But that's not shechnuch. So now, let's go to our shala. Now I have coffee, I have a clean pot of water. I'm pouring it in, again, nicht pram of bittel. I'm pouring it in, now mixed together, gets a flaze, comes down. Is there a problem? Es wird allein a bit, it doesn't happen, nothing, I'm not doing anything. It goes through, the breire wird noch dem, nicht durch mir. Es wird da, wenn ich getein reingenehm, aber ich nehme klur Wasser, is not an issue. Now, come even, I want to make it clear, there are French press, which you do a pe'illah. You push down a piece, you push down, and over there you squeeze out. This is no problem. But I'm not talking about, ich kann nicht ran jetzt. The poshete Sache which you have over here, and which you put in hot water, drips through coffee, haluchadik, and it's your problem. The same is also going to be with tea. And the same is going to be with the tea bag. The same problem we have a tea bag. Could you use a tea bag on Shabbos? Again, I'm not talking about bishul. Can you use a tea bag on Shabbos? What's the problem? Now the problem is I have water and I'm putting it inside into a saya, pouring it in and it goes through, or even a tea bag. Wird es nisaref? Mag ich es nemen oder nicht? Is the halacha is, you could do it. Because I'm not doing any pillar. The water was clean and it's weiter clean. The only problem is going to be to take out the tea bag. That is already an issue. Why it's an issue? Because now, or even taking sense, or even drinking out the whole tea. If you have a tea bag, you didn't take it out, and you want to drink the whole tea, everything gets clean. That's not a problem. But then habe ich schon rausgenommen, alle Wasser, was ist auch between the leaves. Dort habe ich schon rausgenommen between the leaves, dort is not a problem. And therefore, zug nach Roinam, if you want to make it tea, fine. But don't take out the tea bag afterwards. Or even some people take it out, put it out, take it in. That's the problem, because there's liquid inside. Now you don't have to make a masse breiter. Leave it over there. And if you want to take it out, on the regular eye, the Chronim give a aitza with a spoon, like the Terezuv says, and I think that over here with the Alter Rebbe mask. Because over here, when you take with the liquid, because again, over here, when you take the liquid is not vetch kapsoilis. One of the reasons what we spoke then is, do vetch kapsoilis. So therefore, in such a case, the aitza is to take it out with a spoon, and even more better to be just machmar with the spoon and schlap, like the mentioned last week, the Imre Emes' chap. The Imre Emes' chap is, you hold the dus, you put in the spoon, and you schlep away the dus. So this hast du again by the tzedud on filo the Alter Rebbe. Once you slap it away, so hast du nicht kein problem. So again, you could make tea, and you could make again has to be kaila shlishi. It's interesting. I had here a guest who was here. I don't know, my guest or one of the Chassidish people came. Oh, he was here with the spodik. He comes over. I saw people make tea from tea bags. So what's the issue? He says, I never heard such thing that, it makes sense. He says, okay, people make sense, but you could do it. If you make kaila shlishi or kaila revi, in kaila shlishi kapurim, there's no issue. No, but him was, eye-opener. You could do it. He knew if he forgot to make sense, he can have a tea. Okay? But again, there's a lot of how to deal with it, regarding taking out the tea bag, etc. What?
To make the tea, it has to be louder, or you could make it like a tea sense on that to use later.
What breire? Du nicht breire. Die ganze Isot, das Wurm ist, dass du nicht breire. When you're taking it out, dann hast du keine breire. Verstehst? Du hast schon eine zweite Schale. There are one or two of the person want to say Bechlal that could be that a tea bag is Bechlal not a kaila michid lebreire. One of the problems is benoist of tea als kaila michid lebreire, the bag. Will ze tan ken ze na wer sucht der bag als kaila michid lebreire. So tomer ich mach euch mit doch psoiles. Habe ich kein Problem. Ich mache euch mit Person, habe ich kein Problem. Aber das ist nicht eine Klurigkeit. Ich will dann, das heißt, ich meine, der Schagel, bei einer von den Posten bringt man darauf, was ich will dann, das heißt, keine Michel breire. Bei meiner, ich mache euch mit Person, habe ich kein Issue. Aber andere will dann, das heißt, ja, keine, weil du sie gemacht geworden. Sie sind gemacht geworden bei Eizem, als es ist ein Sifter, that in order you should, so this is no problem. And the same will be, another thing which you have the same thing is, some people today's day is very popular, make a soup. How do you make a soup? You could buy a sack which has holes, and you put in over there all kind of garbage. What I mean, bones of the chicken. You put in all vegetables which you want to throw out, and in such a case, you cannot take out the bag and throw it in the garbage. That's the easiest thing to do. You don't have the soup. You want to take out the whole Shabbat. That's the instant problem. Because now you have a problem of Menschen chappen sich nicht. Ich will nur rausbringen deine Kinder. Es ist obvious, but man chappt all die Sachen, man chappt sich nicht, als du die ernste Probleme. Okay, now in Shechanurach steht that Yain sheyesh bem kismim dakim, Yain sheyesh bem kismim dakim has tiny ksumim in it. Dirt. No, it's Sachen was. Lama sagen Shmarim, yeah. Shmarim, Pashas Rechdush Shmarim. In such, or even the cork, sometimes you have the cork falt aran, is Bapashas Shechanurach Shtayt, as you could take it out. Even with a sifter. Weil wir bald Rav Menschen essen die Shmurim, essen die Ksumim, essen die Kismim. Weil sag, was Rav Menschen essen ist, habe ich kein Problem. Ist der logische Grund, steht jede Sache, was bederich klar Menschen essen, nur eine machen, wenn will es siften, ist nicht kein Problem. So, again, ich will es machen klar, als Hand haben wir nicht die Halucha. Die Halucha ist nicht aktuell. By us today's day, if a piece of cork falls into a wine, you are going to take it out, and everybody is going to take it out. Because nobody eats it. So therefore, it's not an issue. But, where can I take this halacha? I'm going to take this halacha if I have an orange juice, which has pulp. And ich will jetzt rausnehmen the pulp. Ich will most ribeke kilo or a fille kilo have no issue with orange juice with pulp. I'm not talking the liquids, which machen a balagan mit Wärme. No, nicht ins Kabel geworden. But a kapunem, pashtas, in the word, since you can issue, most people would drink it. So if somebody decided, I want to be sifted because I don't want to drink it, zoekt of them the shechanurach, you can do it even with a sifter be'etzem. Favus, was sof kal sof, is es be'etzem, nicht kann breire. Menschen essen es, Menschen trinken es. Ich habe es nicht lieben, ich will es nicht essen, aber wir bald rave de oilem nistes ja, so therefore it's not a promise and a breire.
I don't know.
I'm waiting to hear it, no.
The whole time we're talking about
So the whole time, I was waiting. Who's going to jump off the first one? So he has a good question. We learned the whole time that when you have two foods, regular foods, which you have squash and you have carrots and you have meat together. And Ribbe the oilem eat squash. Ribbe the eat carrots. No, I don't like it. Shamarin's geleen do subsoilers. And when ich mache a breire, if I take out that carrots, whatever it should be when it's mixed together, aber ich mache a breire, because I don't like it, what happened now? Weil Rav Oilem sagt, ich will es nicht. Du kommt daran, der Shechanurach, der Achroinim, sie sind maß mit denen Kinder. Beschaß, wenn Sach ist zwei andere Minen, zwei anderen Euchlem, bis jeder hat Achshivas, both have the Achshivas, the carrots have the Achshivas, the squash has the Achshivas, the meat has the Achshivas. When you don't want it, you make it for the psoilus. So therefore, when you're going to take out the psoilus, it's psoilus. But when you have pulp, which is one mean, and it's ksumam dakim, like you said, it's Sachen, rough people eat, it is just ein Sach, I mean. Says, what is if I take off, a piece of meat because, I don't like that. In a piece of chicken, I have a piece of chicken, and what? Fat kann schon sein psoilus. Aber darf man dann sagen, Pashas besser. Aber whatever it should be, whatever, I'm piece of meat, ich kann nicht lieb, some piece of the, says, I mean, du ist noch weiniger, weil du ist ksum takim. Du in der Kiddes Urim, der Chroim suchen, in der Kiddes ksum takim. Sie benoise für, I mean, in Ribbe Essenes, so therefore macht es sich kein Psoilus. Sie darf sagen, du über Schleiminem, sie sagen, beide haben Achshivas bifnei Atzmai. Both foods has Achshivas bifnei Atzmai. So therefore you can make one Psoilus, one not. But one's a thing which be'etzem, the orange juice is be'etzem, the machel. And the ksumim is something which is a chaylik fin der machel, and just because I don't want it, since Ribbe the oilem eats it, then it is not, it's not an issue. Zugt aber the chroinam, if there's a person which is a istanis mamash, then must ken zana sat yobekim sham psoilus. This is a mensch, bederich klar, rav mensch essen es, in ich esse es nicht. Ich bin nicht, I don't like it, aber ich kann es essen. Is tak as vedalucha. But how a person is tak real findlich, that means he cannot eat it, vits beim absurd as a I mean. Okay. The what? This is what I said. In such a pulp, yeah, mesanemet. But that's only pulp. Not if you have a kernel, a seed, is it the rice?
That's if you're trying to get the seed out.
If you want to get out the seed. But if you have a pulp, and you have mitzad alucha, mitzad deshich and urach, is nicht kein Problem, weil Rabbe der Oil essen es, sachalik von ein Sach, is nicht kein Problem.
Orange pit, it's not.
The what?
seed.
Ochad, das ist schon Issa der Reise.
This is
Is to take it out is Shnei Seder Reise. Yeah, exactly. Because that's psoilus. That's mamash psoilus. Over here is a thing, pulp which people eat. It's a no. It's a part of the what?
Part of the orange.
What? Aber a kernel is a psoilus. A what is part of the
I'm
arm?
not
A
eating my
kernel.
chicken. I'm not eating my chicken. I'm taking the bone out.
Oh, you go into a separate thing, an extra lucha which we have. If you can you take out the bone or not? Can it? Maybe. Who said you can do? Maybe you have to take out the food.
Do it.
You do it. Oh, now, yesh licho al mili smoichi. Yesh licho al mili smoichi. The Mishnah B'riyah brings down again. The Mishnah brings down Gdoli Aposkim. I think it is a marshal. I think it's a marshal. No, or a trimasadation. One other marshal and trimasadation, which they want to say as b'shas achila mamash is nishdukam breire. The Mishnah B'riyah talanga b'ira lucha dort eret legabe rausnemen the bones of a fish. So he says anything if a lot sich a kapurim was kompliziert, if a lot sich that any time when it is b'shas achila mamash, nicht lifnei achila, no b'shas achila mamash, that's derech achila. We mentioned it one of the shirim. It's derech achila, it's not derech breire, it's not a problem. Now again, a bunch of chronim argue with the Mishnah B'riyah, and a bunch of chronim agree with the Mishnah B'riyah. Let me make it clear. In Bad Chsidim, ich bin a sach, was es ungenehm. In Rebbe, which I think I mentioned, Zanzaruf Sazin, schreibt clearly, also ich bin der Minig. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but don't net man a road with krachtes over and you take it out. I don't know how it works. You know, you have to. I'm not a mimchen, garenim, but you crack rock, and how do you take it out? Garin. Oh, that's with the psoilus. Oh, but the Mishnah B'riyah wants to say that taking out the bones is auch the obish b'shas achila. Now the Chazanish on the spot disagrees, and a lot of other chronim in the Alter Rebbe is nicht pushed as the Alter Rebbe is pashed the Alter Rebbe nicht maskim to them. So I wouldn't advise you to do it. But Safkasov, anybody who does it, yesh lem minas moiche, because the Mishnah B'riyah says he brings gduli achronim, which as you can do b'shas achila, and therefore if somebody does it, yesh lem minas moiche. But again, it's not. In front of the Alter Rebbe is shows the guide with him, so it goes with it. What?
You only eat schnitzel. That's it.
No, you take. I eat chicken, but you take off the meat. Take off the meat, off the bone. You don't have a drumstick and you take off the bone and then you start eating. That's the problem. If you start eating it, that's not an issue. But taking it off the drumstick, yeah, that's a problem. But again, so let me just clarify. It's only when it's the same in Kisman. If you have egg and onions, yeah. And you don't like the onions, you take out the onions, chiv chatas. Or you have anything which your wife made a vegetable salad, and you don't like tomatoes, and you take out the tomatoes, chiv chatas. It is only kisman which is in a pulp, which is a chaylik fin apart from the machel, and there is ribes oil esenas, and it is dakim which is butel to the machel. Such a case, steht nicht genodig as a jukan problem. Because Rav Oilman is eating it. Another thing, salt shakers. You have salt shaker, and in the salt shaker there's a hard piece of salt. I mean, even though when you take the salt shaker, it's a kaila. A breire nicht a keile. But after pecan, it's alles I But what happened? What?
It wasn't made for breire.
Aber sie gemacht as harte Sachen sollen schon reinkommen. It is made.
I think things shouldn't come out. It should come out a little bit at a time.
It should a little bit at a time. In whatever is big soll nicht rauskommen. Aber since it's mine, das heißt nicht. So where is going to be the problem? When it's humid, summer, people put in rice. So now you're making a breire. You should take out the salt from the rice, but it's a kaila michel breire. This is not a problem. That's not a problem. You shouldn't use such a thing if you put it in rice, and you shouldn't use it on Shabbos, or you don't put it in rice. Because now has the breire, it mixed together rice and salt, and you make sure that it should come out only salt, but als no was again what is if I have confection sugar, I have a cake, and I want to put on confection sugar on the cake, which you can do on Shabbos. So you want to take now a sifter, put in confection sugar, and you want to make it like this, it should go all over. Can you do it on Shabbos or not? With a sifter? No problem. Why? Breire or what? There's no breire. Chotschik be'etzim is a keile merichel breire, aber do wieder bekannt, mach kein breire. I want to just make it the sifter because I want it to go all over. Mach nicht du kein breire. When I have rice and salt, which is mixed together, and I want to take out the salt, not the rice, habe ich gemacht a breire, euch mit doch besoiles, al da hier keile merichel leze. Beschaß wenn ich mache aber confection sugar with a sifter, my ganze kavun is nicht mehr. It should go evenly all over. I don't want it should go over here. Should be a lot of sugar over here a little bit. So I want it should go evenly. So there's no problem. So you can use a sifter because macht bekannt nicht kein breire. Clear? In Brooklyn, there is a problem. I don't know today's day, but it used to be. I think today's day they resolved it. There was a problem of worms. Yeah, remember a few years ago, and we had an Oris rule, a whole arichas regarding this thing. If you can drink the water, if you cannot drink the water. Now, Baruch Hashem, it's solved because the federal government came in and says, what kind of businesses have water which have worms? You know, and they made cider. Then there was a big kid. Can you sift it on Shabbos?
Filter, you have a water filter.
Oh, if you have a water filter, we'll get to this also in a minute. Yeah. But Bechlal, can you? The halacha is a person has water which is clean. And he is a hellbug, and he takes this water from the sink, regular tap sink, which has no worms and no nothing, and he puts on a filter. Is it a problem or not? The answer is no problem. Water which everybody is drinking, and there's no schmidt inside, and people have all kind of, nerven, and they put it on a sifter in order that it should sift the water. Steigt nicht nur klar, ist nicht kein Problem. Nicht kein Problem. What? Oh, in Monza. What? People have filters?
Yeah, I have a filter here. And I cleaned it.
You mean downstairs?
Yeah, downstairs.
Oh, there. Okay, there. You mean a filter on the sink?
No, on the filter before you drink water. You drink from a filter.
Okay, but most of the people don't have this. Everywhere? Okay. Okay. In Brooklyn?
No, Muncie.
Yeah? Okay. Ich habe gewohnt in Muncie 28 years, I never knew such a thing as everyone has it.
We did.
I built a house, I have tenants, and I don't remember putting in filter. Maybe they put it privately. Okay, the Matthias, okay, if you say it like this, this is the guy. But I'm a guy.
Could I use the filter of Shabbos?
The guy is an extra shala. The filters under the sinks has a different shala. Filter has a different shala, and I'll explain you.
This one's in the basement.
No, they have other shala, which a big. We have in alapairik in Orisru, we had a big alapairik on this subject. The people or shuls which have big filters underneath. How does it work? Water goes in on the third. In the middle, it gets mixed into with charcoal. Charcoal stones. Charcoal has a very koich to clean water. Then it comes down, out, and skimteros zober. So the shale gewein, it's the Wasser is inside, and it gets mixed together with charcoal. So wird a tarivas. Can you use it or not? Now look at all this rule. You could see you have it also in the alapairik which we have over in the shul. Baruch Hashem, that's one of the reasons why I make alapairik, because you cannot have 92 volumes of Oris Ruel. At least anything which is alapairik, which alapairik was basically a subject which there was a machloikas zwischen Rabbonim, which was a contemporary machloikas, we put in 4 volumes. So over there we have a ganz arichas over there noise. Lekan, bepoel, ich be Michael. I don't see any issue. As I mentioned before, that whenever you put in water in a sifter and there's shmorim, although it gets mixed together in the shmorim, and it comes out even with a taste, it's not a problem. Because the Wasser, which you have is nicht Wasser, which is a problem. So that's a different subject, and not an issue. The question is, when you have a water which has worms, which you cannot eat, could you use it on Shabbos or not? The Daluchi is no, you cannot sift it. Because since when it's water which basically people eat, and you have mishagas, you want to sift it, or nishka mishagas, I want to take it back, you want to be held back, fine, no problem. Makes it in the Shabbos. But when you have worms, so now going to sift it is a problem. The only question is when you put on a filter on top, on the sink, and this will filter the water, the water from the box. Can you use it or not? It's a große machlokes also on this question. Because over here is la masa can man sich verlassen auf the Mechasitzche. The Mechasitzche writes, Shmir Shabbos Chusah holds also like that. Mechasitzche Shmir Shabbos Chusah hold that basically whenever I put it in sie geht für sich allein werden getan, ich tue es nicht. Sie geht, in anderen Worten, ich tue nicht kein Maße bereit, sie geht werden für sich allein der Maße bereit später, habe ich kein Problem. So the Mechasitzche, he talks about all these filters which you aerate, which you put on, all the things have an air in. Can you put on the sink? It's made if there is any schmitz, it should stay there. Can you put on the sink and use it? So the Mechasitzche kann ich kein Problem. Sagt der Sof, the Breider, mamish durch mir, the ice is was andere Chronim will sagen is, open up the water, first let it a minute guy, because it shouldn't keep koi, and once it dripped already a little bit, then it goes automatically alone. Geit es around in the halucha, which is some gerenz frier when you put in water in the sifter. So again, to sum it up, when you have a sifter, which is basically made for mamash, for verum, which verum is iser, then you cannot sift it. You have clean water, but you want to filter it because of taste or because of chemicals, if you think, whatever, all these things, in such a case, are using it, in the shukam, and it's clean water, it's not a problem. But if it is, although you were basically, you were drinking the water, you have no issue to drink the water with the worms. People drank it a lot of years. You cannot drink it because it's ositzi. Ari hidarav yalai. Zung der Chronim, it's eine Geier. Since es du a breides euch mit der Pesol, die Kesse ist nicht erst bezahlt, weil der Teure lässt dich nicht, it's a Pesoles. And therefore you cannot make a breire in such a case. So any time when you want to sift water, because you have schmitz, it's awesome.
Do a whole house filter.
The what?
Do a whole house filter for the mud.
Usually the whole house filter goes with tanks. What's the stomach problem? It goes with it. Usually goes with tanks. The big ones go with tanks.
Like they call in Brooklyn on a tank.
Well, not tank. Okay, no, so what's the difference? Ganze Stube oder nicht? Wie kann danach kommen? What do you mean to say if it's a ganze Stube?
Pulling more water out.
The what?
Every time I put a lot of water, more water can be filtered through that thing.
If you open it and the water gets, das eine von den Sachen, was sagen, ist der Eizes, open up the water, let heilig von the first koi go leibet, so, hast du nicht gemacht, kann breire, wo sie darfst, bei mir lasst dich kein Issue. Das ist eine von den Teilen. Verstehst du genug? Dann schauen wir die Keuche, ja. One final thing is one final thing I want to clear up, in which is a big mix people don't have. Sometimes, I don't know, us Hungarians, I don't know in the Russian people how they do it, but Hungarians we use disposable plastic tishtach and the white beautiful tishtach. There are some people which I can understand, they want to only use this kind of tishtach, tablecloths, covered Shabbos, which I admire very much. But again, when I was a child, it came out the first time, the plastic table goes see-through. Now, not see-through. And you put it on top, at least. Yeah. You take, end of the day, you take everything, throw it in the garbage. I'm a chaya. Yeah. Sometimes when you do this, and you already mixed it, you take everything, you took over everything, and you mix together, and you see now, which going back to what I mentioned before, but in a scenario which is more applicable, you see now that there's a spoon in the tablecloth, or there's a becher. You know, how many people lost their becher or the spoons because they went into the garbage. So now, what are you going to do? You're going to take out the spoon, you're going to take the fork, and put it away. You don't want, or put it into the sink. You don't want. It should go to the garbage. So what did you do now?
Everything was mixed on top.
Mixed the time. That's why I said you took when the fork is in the middle of the table, it's not an issue. But maskem. So what? So what? Oichem metoch psoiles. The fork is the oichel. All the rest of the things is psoiles. You boire oichem metoch psoiles. Now oichem metoch psoiles is nicht kanisse. The only problem is the iser is it's la'achras mas, nicht la'alter. It's chapt. So what do you need to do? You have to wash it right away. You took it out from the table. Wash it. Go to the refrigerator and eat something with this fork. So then is the boire oichem metoch psoiles of la'alter. The becherochet. Wash it out and drink with him a cup of water. So now you made it the boire of la'alter. Because if you're going to take it out just because you want to wash it, you're going to use it later. Again, these are all things which you don't realize. And why am I stressing it? Because as I said, the beginning shiur, in the first shiur I said, one malacha which is in Hilchos Shabbos, which Chazal gave every malacha in every mitzvah and every loisas. Chazal did us such a big favor. They gave us boundaries. We shouldn't fall into the Reise. Yeah? That's why we have Isri Yichad. That's why we have Shniz Larois. That's why we have... Every malacha has all kind of boundaries. To be over Isri Reise is not that easy. The only malacha which is so difficult, although they try to give some boundaries, but over here you have in one way, if you do it one way, it's a mittelek tchila. In one slight different is Isri Reise, not Isri Rabun. Oich metoch pesoiles. La'alter is mittelek tchila. Likes es weg for lachers man, Isri Reise. Oich metoch pesoiles, mittelek tchila. Pesoiles metoch oichel, Isri Reise. So we mechapt sich nicht den Kinder. The only way they gave us a protection is sifter, filter, kaila michid, and the acid also kirva tamcha, which is not 100% a filter. But other than that, we're playing around with the rices. So therefore, we have to realize, as boirer is, you have to know boirer. That's why the Alter Rebbe was so concerned about the fly in the cup of wine, about eating nislach nuts, because you're playing around with boirer, you're playing around with isir the rice. And the Rabbi helpful us, and if you learn this Hilchos Shabbos, you don't get to be over isir. Next we'll start with Hilchos Schita. Schita means first Schita is Pyrus, and then we'll get to...